So before we start the video, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. So, let's get into it. Alright, so week 2 of the NFL season is coming up, and for the Chicago Bears, they will be going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, looking to avenge that embarrassing loss to the Green Bay Packers in week 1. In this video, as always, I'm going to give y'all my 3 keys to the game on what I think the Bears should do to be able to win this game. So, without further ado, let's get into it. What's up guys, KT here, back at it with another video. Today, we're doing the Bears. The Bears are looking to rebound in a must-win game. I know, it's only week 2, but this is already a must-win game for them when they head on the road to take on a 1-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that looked very good in week 1. That looked sneaky good in week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears are coming off a very embarrassing loss to the Green Bay Packers in a game that they did not look competitive at all. And they disappointed a lot of people, but hey, it was week 1. You can't base the season off of one game, but this game will tell a lot for the upcoming season, as this is a must-win game for them to keep the support of the fans and to keep morale high in that locker room. So I'm not going to hold y'all for too much longer. Let's get straight into it. The first key for this game is you have to get DJ Moore and mainly your playmaking wide receivers involved a little bit more than you did in week 1. It's, in fact, a lot more. You know, the game plan has to change. I don't know what they were doing in that week 1, against the Green Bay Packers. I said it during the stream that I had. I said it after the stream. The game plan was not great. The protection was not great. The QB play was subpar. But when you draw up a scheme that relies mostly on horizontal screen passes and very conservative checkdowns, whether or not Fields miss some throws, miss some throws downfield, miss some open guys, that's neither here or there. You always want to see your QB hit those throws when given the opportunity, but at the same time, the scheme definitely wasn't right. They had multiple chances to move the ball down the field, and they did not do that. And when people bring up the missed throws and bring up the misreads, my first thing, especially to go on by last week, is that DJ Moore only had 2 targets for like 23 yards, and you did not trade the number 1 overall pick to get 2 targets and 2 catches for 23 yards. You look at Darnell Mooney, he had 5 catches for 45 yards. Chase Claypool didn't have any catches. Cole Kmet had 1 catch, I think. You can't tell me that offensive scheme for last week was good, was anywhere near good, and was anywhere near prepared for the Green Bay Packers front. I get pass protection wasn't great. I get that the QB missed some throws, but you have to find a way to get the ball in your playmakers' hands. And going against a Tampa Bay team that made Minnesota look very bad, even with Justin Jefferson, the Bears are going to have to draw up some very creative things to be able to get the ball to their playmakers. But mainly, DJ Moore has to be a factor in this game. That's the number 1 key. You brought him here for a reason. We heard all offseason that they were making a connection. I'm not talking about an emotional connection. I'm talking about playing football. This guy is the real deal. We've seen it in Carolina. We've seen it in training camp. We've heard about it in practice. Now we need to see it during the season. I said this as well, and I see a lot of other people saying this as well. Regardless of what you think about Justin Fields as a quarterback, regardless of what you think about the pass protection and all that, it's up to the offense coordinator to get these guys open, and he did not do that week 1. So, my number 1 key is getting DJ Moore and your playmakers, but mainly DJ Moore, the ball early and often, as he knows Tampa Bay's scheme, he knows the corners. Getting him the ball early and often, just getting it in his hands should be the number 1 priority. He should not have any less, than 5 catches this game. Maybe not even less than 10 catches this game. Point number 2, Roschon Johnson has to get more carries in this game. Now, week 1, the run game was pretty much non-existent. You look at the stats, Khalil Herbert had 9 carries, Deonta Foreman had 9 carries, and they were both wildly ineffective. Now, part of that is because Green Bay's defensive line was just so good on Sunday. You know, they were able to just blow past guys, you know, for especially with the run game. You know, they had a good linebacking core. The linebackers broke to the ball, you know, something the Bears weren't doing. But, you know, the run schemes that Luke Getsy drew up again, I'm going back to the scheme. The runs that he drew up were not, you know, consistent with what we've seen with this team before. You know, we didn't see any QB options. We didn't see, you know, that good old-fashioned downhill north-south running. And say what you want about running the football. You know, you want to see improvements with the passing game. You want to see Fields throw for all these yards. You're not going to do anything, especially against a good defensive front with a good back seven like Tampa, like Green Bay. You're not going to do anything if you don't run the ball. And, you know, when they were running the ball last week, it just seemed like Khalil Herbert didn't have it. You know, he was missing a few holes. Sometimes the holes would close so quickly that he wouldn't be able to see it. D'Onta Foreman did a little bit better, but again, it wasn't stellar in his role either. But Roschon Johnson last week, when he came into the game for the limited snaps that he got, he was very effective. While the yards per carry doesn't show it, you know, you can watch the game and tell he was trucking over guys. You know, he's good in pass protection. You know, he was able to catch the ball very effectively, actually. You know, it's almost like surprising to see how good of hands that he has for a running back. So I just feel like Roschon Johnson should touch the ball a lot more in this Week 2 matchup, especially going against a defensive front that features Vita Vea and Shaq Barrett. And, you know, they got the linebackers and Devin White and, you know, Levante David. And then you have all those corners and those safeties. You know, Tampa Bay runs a very good scheme. They like to blitz a lot. So, you know, downhill running, getting Fields under center, getting that fullback back there, or running from single back, it should be very important. And if you're going to run north-south and run north-south with Roschon Johnson, then you can start spreading the defense out, because that will set up your passing game. That will get the defense to spread out even more, and then you can start running those inside zones with Khalil Herbert. Then you can start running those, you know, horizontal toss plays with Khalil Herbert or D'Onta Foreman. But you know, Roschon Johnson should get the majority of carries and just a little bit more playing time, you know, than he did in Week 1. That's up to the coaching staff. I don't know if he's gonna start, but he definitely should get a lot more snaps than he did. But, you know, running the football is always important, especially against defensive fronts like this. So, you know, get Roschon Johnson in that backfield, get Fields under center, make him hand that ball off to Roschon, let him find those holes, let him tire out that defensive front, that front seven for Tampa Bay, and then you can go from there. But they must run the ball effectively. But I think the main key would be getting that ball to the rookie Roschon Johnson. Point number 3. Now, I could go with the offensive line for this one, but we all know that the main priority when you play against any team for any matter is that you have to keep Justin Fields upright. You know, against this Tampa Bay team, you know, Todd Bowles is going to send a lot of blitzes. You know, they have a lot of good pass rushers on that team. So, you know, protecting Justin Fields is always a priority, but I think I'm going to go defense on this. You know, the defense has to be able to get pressure on Baker Mayfield. You cannot have another performance like you did against Jordan Love, letting him sit back there all day, able to process the field, playing, you know, cover 2 exclusively, you know, playing a lot of zone coverage, you know, the busted assignments. But, you know, the main key for the loss on Sunday was that the Bears could not get pressure from anywhere. They only had 1 sack, and that came from Yannick Ngakoue on a coverage sack. So the Bears are going to have to find a way to dial up, you know, some blitzes to be able to make Baker Mayfield uncomfortable, because, believe it or not, Mayfield looked pretty good in his Week 1 matchup. He wasn't stellar, but he did enough to be able to win the game. He was very poised in the pocket. You know, he seemed like he had that swag back to him. So going into this game, you know, Alan Williams, Matt Eberflus should be able to dial up some blitzes. You know, this is their defense. If it's clear to you that you're not going to be able to get home with 4, then you definitely need to start sending some of those linebackers. You have the personnel to do it. Tremaine Edmonds is an incredibly fast linebacker. You know, Jack Sanborn is an incredibly fast linebacker. I feel like if the Bears are able to dial up some blitzes, you know, make it easier for that, you know, secondary, especially if you're going to miss Kyler Gordon, you know, for the next few weeks. you definitely need to find a way to generate some pressure on the quarterback. And I think, by doing that, switching up the scheme a little bit, switching up from zone to man from sometimes, and then switching from man to man blitz or zone blitz, whatever you do, mix it up and get pressure on Baker Mayfield, because you cannot let him sit back there all day. Overall, this week 2 matchup should be very telling for the Chicago Bears. Whether they win it or not is, not a very big concern. I mean, it is a must-win game, but they just have to look better than they did in week 1. But overall, and I'm going to go by, the Bears need to show me before I can believe again. I got this game going to 27. I'll be generous. It will end 27-20. I think the Bears, come out a little bit closer. I think they come out with some fire. But overall, that Bucs defense, the way they, kind of manhandled, Minnesota in that first game, and they had probably the best receiver in the league. They made Kirk Cousins' life difficult, and the way the Packers just bullied our offensive line around, the way that secondary played for the Packers, and the way the game plan was for the Chicago Bears, it's going to be very difficult to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their own house. They don't like to surrender anything in Tampa. I think it will be a closer game than the Week 1 matchup. I could be wrong, but the Bucs overall, they still have the better roster, regardless of who's at quarterback. And the Bears are on a they need to show us basis until we're able to believe in them again. But I have the Bears losing this one 27-20. I think they come out with a little bit more fight. I think they do show us some things in this game. But overall, I think with that defensive front for Tampa Bay and that defense in general, the mind of Todd Bowles with his defense will be able to prevail. But I could be wrong. I got the game ending 27-20 Buccaneers. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who do you think will win this game and why? Leave it in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop one of these Bears videos. After the game, I will be coming with a recap video, so be looking out for that. Thank you guys for supporting the stream that I did last week. For you guys that joined, I really appreciate it. But I'm going to get up out of here. Thank you guys for watching. As always, bear down, and I'm out. Peace.